Welcome, everybody. My name is Bella Vasta from Jump Consulting, and today I've got a really cool training for you. I've got my good friend Mike Alton from Agorapulse here with us today. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so excited for many reasons to have you on today. First of all, social media is something that kind of has almost stopped us in our tracks recently because we want to make sure that whatever we're putting out, however we're saying, however we're representing our brand is on point. And sometimes it's hard to really do that every second of the day, all the time. I also know you to be a major social media guru and an incredible blogger. You've been a guest on my podcast, Bella in Your Business. You've been a guest in the Mastermind. And I was just so excited that you were going to come on today. I was also excited when you decided to give us your free social media planner too, which we will tell you guys about further along in the show. But without further ado, Mike, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And while I talk more about blogging these days, obviously social media was kind of my first love. It was my first blog. So this is fun for me. I like it.
Tell everyone what your blog is.
So I have a few. I started the Social Media Hat in 2011, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And that was mostly about social media, also about blogging and anything online marketing. I split all of the blog content off into bloggingbrew.com just over a year ago. So now I've got those two blogs.
Awesome. Yeah. And they're chock full of information. In fact, before in the pre-show, Mike and I were talking about some tech tips that he just put out with Stephanie Liu, which was pretty cool. So Mike, I know that you have a really cool presentation actually for us just to teach us. You guys, although Mike works for Agorapulse, he's not here to necessarily promote Agorapulse. He's here to really just pour into you and feed into you. And also as one of my really awesome friends, this is one of the nicest, most supporting people you'll ever meet in the social industry. And I'm excited to learn from you today, Mike. So I'm going to just throw it on over to you and let you take it away and feed our minds today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So let me fire up the slides. Cool. All right. So I am certainly going to talk to you about and show you Agorapulse today, but I wanted to do something a little bit different from just a demo, which you guys could just get at your own convenience with a free trial. Instead, I want to talk about what social media means and is like today, particularly through the lens of the solopreneur, the individual like you, who's running on all cylinders to build a business, wearing every hat there is, right alongside all of your other adult responsibilities. And let's face it, that's not exactly easier today. Today, I want to refocus social media for some of you, perhaps all of you. I want to help you see how social media is a tool and a community to be cherished and not just something else to add to your to-do list. Because once we're looking at social media through that new lens, the one where the most important aspects are in focus and everything else is that nice bokeh background, that's when we'll be able to clearly see why we're using social media and the benefits it's bringing us. But before we get too deep into this, perhaps I should give you just a little bit more background on who I am. I'm Mike Alton, and I have the pleasure of serving as the brand evangelist for Agorapulse, which is just about the best job in the world. I'm tasked with managing our influencer marketing initiatives, including a global ambassador program, all of our brand partnerships, and all of our event and sponsorships. And I also get to manage our social media team, which includes our social media manager, a community manager, a director of social media education, and even a content scientist. But the experience that I'm bringing to the table today that's relevant to you is the fact that I've been a solopreneur for a decade and a half. And since 2011, like I mentioned earlier, I've been writing about and consulting brands and business owners about social media. I've got an award-winning blog, a thriving community, and a partnership with those three amazing and brilliant women. In the fall, we're actually releasing a co-authored book, The Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing. So now that you know a little bit more about me and why I'm talking to you today, let's dig into what we're going to cover in the brief amount of time that we have. And I'll also have time at the end for questions and can even show you a little bit of the Agorapulse app if you want. But first, let's get the lay of the land. If you were going to photograph a spot, you'd scout it out first and you'd think about what time of day, what weather, what accessories or activities might make for the best shoot. By the same token, As businesses, we need to take a beat and think about today's social media landscape. What are the networks available to us, and which network or networks should we focus on? Which leads us into the second set of considerations. Have you guys ever watched the photographer Peter McKinnon on YouTube? Because one of his most popular questions in videos is about what gear to take out on a shoot. Because if you've been shooting pictures for a while, you've doubtless collected quite a few camera bodies and lenses and other equipment, and you cannot possibly carry it all. By the same token, you as a solopreneur and a business owner cannot possibly be active on every social network every day. So you need to prioritize. Finally, once you prioritize your social networks, we're going to talk about how to maintain that activity and stay relevant, even in a noisy world. I mentioned Peter McKinnon. He's obviously one of millions of photographers around the world. Why did I mention him? When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, why was Peter's name the first photographer that came to mind? Sure, you could say it's because he has millions of YouTube subscribers, but how did he get that way? What did he do differently that led to not just subscribers, but real brand awareness and actual revenue? We're going to talk about that too. In 2012, I got an invitation to appear on my very first live video. Back then, Google Plus Hangouts on Air were all the rage, and I was just starting to develop a decent following on G+. I'd never appeared on a live video anywhere before, but it was a request to do some training for a bunch of lawyers. So I thought there'd be an opportunity there for me to get some practice with video and to potentially score some business. But I was terrified. I didn't know at first what I would say. And I certainly wasn't sure if I had the right equipment for live video. After I agreed to the appearance and set a date for a few weeks later, I sat staring at my calendar, feeling those icky feelings of anxiety and worry creep up my spine, wondering how I was going to pull this off. It reminds me of the time I was asked to do a 2-day workshop on social media. And this wasn't just any workshop. I'd been asked by the president of PBS here in St. Louis to come in and do a full-on training for his entire staff on how their station could leverage social media in ways that no other stations were even thinking about doing. Not only did I need to teach social media marketing, I had to innovate. I had to come up with a strategy that was unique to PBS St. Louis and that would work to make their station content relevant to their target audience. And I had to do it all in a live, day-long setting. I'd never run that kind of workshop before, and I was left wondering how I was going to pull that off. So one of the things you're doubtless wondering today is what you're supposed to do with all these social networks. And the scary part is there are more networks out there that you've never even heard of, and there are new ones popping up every day. And within networks, you've got profiles and pages and groups and events and more. It can be overwhelming. Fortunately, there are some shortcuts, not the least of which is being part of a great community like this and attending training sessions when they're made available to you. That's smart. But the first shortcut is to separate personal from business. You're more than welcome to create whatever personal social profiles you wish and to use them for whatever you want, whenever you wish, or not. You don't have to have and use personal social media profiles. The key here is to note that everything we're talking about today is for business, and it's from that business perspective. If you like posting dance steps on TikTok, that's great. But unless you're a dance instructor, it's got nothing to do with your business and probably shouldn't be mixed. So if you haven't already, definitely create or convert to a business profile on every major social network. So what are the major social networks? Where should you consider spending your time? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. There are obviously many other social networks out there, but from a business perspective, particularly through that lens of the solopreneur, you must cherish your time, and using a particular social network is an investment of time. In fact, that's the first major shift in perspective I want to encourage. The more time you invest in a particular social network, the more success you will see come out of it. You'll get better and more skilled at that particular network's nuance and difference. You'll establish and grow more personal relationships with other users of that network. And you'll develop a richer history of activity and success that you can build on. Now, how much time you have to spend will vary, but we're probably talking at least 20 minutes a day. Before we determine which network to invest that kind of time in, though, it's wise to consider them all. Let's start with Facebook. It's obviously the most popular and populous of the major social networks. It's also the most robust when it comes to business usage. As a business owner, you must create a page to represent your business. And with that page comes the ability to create live videos, events, own groups, run ads, assign team members, and even see metrics on all the above. Now, while Facebook may not be the most popular network with certain demographics or in even certain regions outside the United States, it remains the most ubiquitous network. Any business can use Facebook to reach any audience. With Facebook, you can share text, links, images, and videos, as well as broadcast live video and post stories. Now, I'm sure most of you are using stories, but in case you aren't, story is a post type that's actually sweeping all the major social networks after Snapchat created it. And it's kind of this short update that's usually video or an image with text and other graphics you can add while you're actually creating your post. Story content disappears after a day. So as a communication medium, it's a little easier to post more often and to share posts that aren't quite so polished and time-consuming to create. I also want to take this opportunity to discourage any personal animosity towards Facebook or any other social network, because I've heard business owners refuse to use Facebook or Twitter because of this or that personal reason, and I would strongly advise reconsidering that stance and enjoying the fact that you can use these social networks for free and can level the playing field when it comes to your competition. YouTube, that's the second largest search engine next to Google itself. But of course, it's driven by video content. The majority of YouTube usage is kind of for entertainment purposes, but businesses can thrive there when publishing helpful video content, particularly how-to type videos. Interestingly, YouTube doesn't have a different profile type for businesses. Everyone just creates an account and a channel, and they use it how they wish. But of course, you're going to make sure that if you create a YouTube channel, that you have a strategy behind it, a plan for publishing video regularly, and consistently branded profile images and channel art or cover photos across all of your social profiles. You can actually broadcast live video to YouTube as well as post some of that story type content. Now, I am sure 100% of you are using Instagram. But just so we're on the same page, Instagram's owned by Facebook, and it tends to skew slightly younger in terms of demographic. You can share images and videos as well as live video via IGTV. Story content is also extremely popular. Maybe you saw some of Bella's stories leading up to today's teaching.